And overall, this will be positive because it's been an enlightening discussion. And if I said mean things, I didn't mean them to be taken meanly. I'm just aggressive, conditioned warmock. Let's go ahead and. But I'm a good guy, so that's good that I'm warlike fighting the evil, isn't it? If we were all passive, we'd be defeated. But I guess, again, that's my conditioned. I thought it was my genetics, but I think it's both. Let's play a clip from near the first of Zeitgeist Addendum. That's Zeitgeist 2, I guess, for lack of a better word. And this is on money and some other issues like the family. Here it is.
In a world where 1% of the population owns 40% of the planet's wealth, in a world where 34,000 children die every single day from poverty and preventable diseases, and where 50% of the world's population lives on less than $2 a day, one thing is clear: something is very wrong. And whether we are aware of it or not, the lifeblood of all of our established institutions, and thus society itself, is money. Therefore, understanding this institution of monetary policy is critical to understanding why our lives are the way they are. Unfortunately, economics is often viewed with confusion and boredom. Endless streams of financial jargon coupled with intimidating mathematics quickly deters people from attempts at understanding it. However, the fact is, the complexity associated with the financial system is a mere mask, designed to conceal one of the most socially paralyzing structures humanity has ever endured. A number of years ago, the Central Bank of the United States, the Federal Reserve, produced a document entitled Modern Money Mechanics. This publication detailed the institutionalized practice...
Okay, that's enough. I mean, that's invaluable information, and he goes through the facts. But to say that these private cartels that sit above the entire world economy, that this fraud is free market. Free market is I raise a bunch of pigs and go and trade them for a bunch of corn to feed more of my pigs, or I'm a gunsmith and I fix somebody's rifle for them, and they give me a little gold piece or a silver piece. So I just think that compared to all the other systems man's tried to create, I don't think it's fair to call this a free market. What we have is private central banking families coming in, getting control of government, and then using that as an engine to expand their control through empire. And it's a totally unfair system. So, I mean, they are the only ones that can create the symbols that are seen as wealth, and it's just a complete fraud. But, I mean, what's wrong with having a government-issued currency that is controlled and that can be expanded or contracted, but having public education and debate about it so that we can grease the skids of interaction, commerce?
Well, sure. I would say that the corruption, of course, is extremely prevalent, but the difference between what I would argue and what you would argue is probably the fact that the corruption you're seeing now is, in fact, created by the system itself. It's simply a matter of time because the entire monetary system is based on differential advantage. See, maybe in the early days where you actually bartered for something else, there's less likely to be corruption. Now, insider trading, the general manipulation, planned obsolescence, this is a different world with strategies for profit that do not give a damn about humans at all. The human value is second to monetary gain rampantly. You can see this everywhere.
But how do we even get the public to recognize the Federal Reserve's private and is a fraud? Well, through great films like yours and the Money Masters that we have available, by the way, at Infowars.com. 3-hour film on the subject to really get deep into it.
Of course, that's why I have it in there. My point, though, is that you have to look at the psychological ramifications of the monetary system. You can't have the system. It's not going to work. The corruption you see, like, for example, Ed Griffin put out this extremely projected review of my film, and he states outright that the free enterprise system is great if it was allowed to work. Well, there's no such thing as the free enterprise system. It never existed. It's never going to exist. We have different stratifications.
But when we see it partially existing or in its pure form, it does create the greatest amount of goods and services and homes and food and medicine for the citizenry.
No, actually, resource management and technology creates those things along with human ingenuity.
Oh, really? Cuba's had resource management?
Cuba, is that what you said?
Yeah, Cuba's gone more of any Soviet or communist state.
They still have money. They still have the same type of labor system the rest of the world has. This corruption is just the cartels and everything is a matter of time. Monopoly is a matter of time in this system. This is age-old. It's been talked about forever and ever. People don't think about it much anymore, but it's just a matter of time before what I refer to as the world government is world monopoly. You're going to have things. I mean, Walmart is a natural culmination. So people that think Walmart is some kind of, infringing thing that goes into a small town and hurts all the locals.
No, it's the more extreme expression of the parasite. But see, it's not free market. It's using slave goods in select government deals to come in and displace the free market. And so the public became decadent and corrupt and wanted the cheap goods, so they bought into the slavery. So really, Walmart is slavery.
Sure. Well,
just like prisons are slavery.
All labor systems are slavery. Just because how many American corporations do you think are free market? How many of them outsource to other?
They're not slavery. If people get shares in it, if people get stock, if through the brand name it's known that it can be trusted. Let's play clip 2. This is clip 2. Here it is from Zeitgeist.
And so if a man makes money selling a certain product, naturally he's going to fight the existence of another product that may threaten his institution. Therefore, people cannot be fair, and people do not trust each other. A guy will come over to you and say, I got just the house you're looking for. He's a salesman. When a doctor says, I think your kidney has to come out, I don't know if he's trying to pay off a yacht or that my kidney has to come out. It's hard in a monetary system to trust people.
All right, stop there for a second. That's human corruption. That is people who only care about themselves. It's an inner thing, and that's why, because you can't trust that and never will be able to, you need to not be so lazy, folks, and go off references or reviews from reviewers you trust for a movie or for a car or for a website or for a film. It takes not being intellectually, individually lazy, and we've been seduced by Madison Avenue into this. But to then just say that, well, finish the clip, and we'll go back and get our guest comment on it, the maker's comments.
People. If you came into my store and I said, this lamp that I've got is pretty good, but the lamp next door is much better, I wouldn't be in business very long. It wouldn't work. If I were ethical, it wouldn't work. So when you say industry cares for people, that's not true. They can't afford to be ethical. So your system is not designed to serve the well-being of people. If you still don't understand that, there would be no outsourcing of jobs if they cared about people.
Okay, let's stop there. We had the U.S. government and the Chinese government 30 years ago make a deal to selectively allow them to have select cadres of corporations make goods, sell poisonous food, do all of it, and the public was brainwashed to basically accept it. But take Ted Anderson, who owns Midas Resources that sells gold and silver. He told me the other day, he said, yeah, a guy called up, and this is off-air stuff, I know I must be saying it, and wanted to buy maple leaves from me. And Ted said, listen, I didn't get a very good deal on these. You really ought to just buy some silver, and I've got a guy that got some silver, and he just gave the guy the number to call it, and the guy was so happy that he got such a good deal, he called back and bought a bunch more gold of a different type. And then Ted, because he gives business to other brokers he knows, just being nice, Ted then, when nobody else can get gold and silver, these big brokers are selling to him because and that's not a good old boy network. That's guys, that's Ted wants a good name. Ted wants to be trusted. And he is now, so he's doing very well. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. Well, that's of course going to occur. There's not every single instance is going to be people looking for their self-preservation at that particular moment. However, if Ted was pushed into a corner with elaborate competition from another company that was very, very competitive against his pricing structure, you would see him behave very, very differently. If his livelihood is put in jeopardy, he is going to manipulate his environment to get what he needs.
Nope, Ted almost went out of business 5 years ago, and he still, did it all the right way and came through it and did better than ever. And I think it's that acquiescence that we're just these, these people programmed by society. I mean, there are good businesses. There are good people.
Sure, but
there are people you can trust.
Differential advantage. It's all based on manipulation advantage, and it's based on humans taking advantage and chiseling off of one another. That's what
humans do. Bad people do that. Good people have to fight them.
That's what this system creates.
That's what we are. Listen, humans made this system. This is what we do.
No, this is a product of evolution. It's a product of the free market system had its corruptions at the very beginning, and it worked for a certain degree. Now it's time to move forward.
Well, let me ask you this.
Intermediate elements. We need to work on resource management work with the resources, not the middle elements of money and labor.
Well, I agree with you on that, but before we run out of time, here's an example. You know, we only see a limited part of the light spectrum. The science has shown all these other dimensions. Who knows what lives on other planets? I mean, the point is we have very limited views. What we know today would be total magic 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago. I mean, how can you just say... I mean, I'm certainly religions build a box around it and create priests and get power from it. But I mean, other experiences, the mind within, the soul. You don't believe we have a soul.
Soul based on a traditional definition.
But I mean, how do you know there isn't more? How do you know?
You can't. If you find a whole group of people dancing around a tree, they call it a boo-boo tree, and they sit there and say that this tree has all the power that controls everything. I can't disprove that. I can't disprove it. However, I hold it as extremely improbable.
I'm saying it's a human idea that is central to who we are, and that